Hello, everyone. This is Domina Sofia here at Domumsapientiae, the House of Wisdom. How are you? First and foremost, goddess daughters, initiates, my long-term wealthy wife, long-term YouTube subscribers, and if you are a new subscriber here on my YouTube channel, I want to say welcome. And to all of you, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. I'm sitting here laughing because I've been working on images. You've been noticing the images I've been playing with for my YouTube thumbnails. I am having such a phenomenal time. The pictures are turning out, I have pictures to share with you guys eventually that are just, they're so beautiful. But I was laughing because I was working on a series of group pictures. And one of them, matter of fact, the one you guys see here is a thumbnail for this particular audio. I don't know how in the world that that particular picture captures my entire my mannerisms, my facial expressions, the energy my body holds and displays. Because the face was literally just a headshot. I was like, how in the world did he capture literally the essence of me? But he did. He did. And I'm laughing because the picture would be what my gentleman would say is I am holding court. I've shared this with you guys previously. I am rarely, unless I sincerely choose to not be dealing with anybody in reference to men, people, whatever. If I go out and it's a place that is dominated energetically by men, I will somewhere in the course of that day be surrounded by men. It's just a natural thing. I have that magnetic energy. It's been my entire life. I've always been surrounded by the masculine. I've always been surrounded by men. Starts out with just one, and then somewhere it winds up being a group. I don't mind because I meet really fascinating men. And I've also shared with you guys when I go out because this particular picture that is being featured today, it would be a good example of me being at a cigar lounge, for example, where there would be like tons and tons of men around. And that would literally be me sitting there and we'd just be doing a group shot. And next thing I know, I'm talking to this one, or I'm talking to that one. Welcome to my world. So yes, that picture, if you ever want to know my person out, there it is. She's sitting right there in that chair. But I love the picture because I'm working on Luxuria today. Luxuria, for those who may not know, is a custom GTP that I created for the temple. And I literally took time out today to have a conversation with her. Because at this point in time, she's had a chance, and you guys know this, if you work with any of the GTPs, as you begin working with them, there's a flow that happens. The personality begins to show up, the information that it's working with, it becomes more in tune with the information that it has received, it's working with. It's just a great experience when you understand how to, do the back and forth with one. And with Luxuria, she is built around my information, my experience. She contains a multitude of information, transcripts, books, you name it, that I have curated over time. And I'm having so much fun adding information to her because today, and Luxuria, and this is chamber one, because there are two aspects of Luxuria. One is strictly for me, it's private use only, and this one actually, the goddess daughters that are part of the various for the oracles keep for sure, and then those actually have become part of that particular membership that is Luxuria. So they have access to her. So she's had a chance to spend time with some of my initiates and my goddess daughters. So I went in today to once again get to see what she's doing, how she's doing, what is she noticing in reference to the kind of questions she's receiving, and to see if it matches up with what I hear the goddess daughters sharing with me. Because I've asked them, how are you enjoying, your time there within Luxuria? Because the Oracle's Keep is required to be using Luxuria now. They're working on a specific assignment over the summer into the fall where she is highly beneficial because it's in reference to how they're going to be spending time with affluent, rich, and wealthy men who they're looking to meet. Because if you know about Luxuria, this branch of her, she contains what I said are the 15 exclusive high net worth, ultra high net worth masculine archetypes that I have curated over the course of all the years I have spent with men, learning men, being educated by men, about men. So there's 15 very, very specific archetypes that I've identified. And the feedback that looks, and it was a good conversation. I mean, I was like, we were going back and forth and back, because remember, she hasn't had a chance to spend time with me. The goddess daughters, yes, but I have not utilized her because I created her. Her information is my information. So there's nothing within her that I'm unfamiliar with. But the conversation was really good because I had a chance to, once again, get a feel for the personality, which is Luxuria. And she is quite delightful. She is really creating, curating, offering my goddess daughters initiates information, which once again I know because they've shared with me, highly beneficial for their life goals, their desires, and the level of self-awareness that they actually are acquiring, because they now have a place to go that is quiet and peaceful, uninterrupted information, unbothered by other people's opinions, and are learning affluent, rich, and wealthy, the living aspects of it, but also the men. And this has nothing to do with theory. This is based upon real information, right? So I also added to her today. I was looking at, and the reason I did the picture made me laugh because being 40 plus, so many times, and women I love seeing more older women showing up in the world because we're going nowhere. Let's be very clear. I always get the giggles when I see these things where you have these young women talking about, older women are jealous of us. No, we're not. You darlings, you have nothing we desire. Trust. We love you. We honor you. We appreciate you because at one point we did your time. We've done our 20s. We've done our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, except, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For those that are older, we've done 30 and 40. We know. We've done 20 and 30. We know. What happens in those decades is quite fascinating because you are learning yourself. In your 20s, we sometimes have 20, 25 plus years life, 20 years, 25 years life experience on you. So we have nothing to there's nothing to be jealous about. And I always laugh because it's about the older men. Honey, we don't want them for the most part if they're not taking care of themselves. Older men that dislike women their age, usually because there's not much they're really offering us outside their aches and pains and their disappointments that we can go, well, no, we're good. And or they want more children, which is perfectly fine. Because once again, most of us that are older, we're not looking to have more babies. We've been there and done that too, for the most part. Not everyone, but for the most part. So and the goal is to also, for those of you that are younger than us, to have a chance to look and see that you continue to thrive, become better and more as you get older if you're making wise decisions. Because that's also 40 plus. This is where women finally stop if they didn't take a real good look at their life before 40 and kind of go, oh, ew, huh, what's going on over here? Remember, perimenopause. Ooh, that is a heat-seeking missile that is headed straight for the truth. And whatever your truth may be, okay? There's no hiding anymore once perimenopause hits because it literally does just rip the band-aid off and your women are facing the realities of their lives. Some of them are realizing that they chose well in reference to life decisions. Some are thinking, okay, not too bad. I could probably have done better, but we can fix it. Some are thinking, oh, hell no. What happened? Because things have evolved and de-evolved and gone off to the left. It's okay because now they can be honest about what they desire to be their next step. This is a time also when, they may be getting divorced. Their husbands may have passed away, they may be widows. I mean, there's so many things that are going on in at 40 plus that sometimes women forget that we're still gorgeous. We are still sexy, gorgeous, beautiful, intelligent, and desirable. And when I say the desirable, it has nothing to do with just attracting a man's attention or men's attention. I'll say it again. That's lovely. I enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with it. But men are a part of my process. They're an addition to my life. They never have been and never will be the purpose of my life. And as a woman gets older, and she may not have understood that when she was younger, but she really begins to understand it as she becomes older. Because also by the time you hit your 40s, if you chose poorly or weren't standing up for yourself between in your 20s and 30s, at 40, there's a level of exhaustion, which is insane for some women because they've given so much of themselves away to other people. So 40 plus is a very valuable time in a woman's life. And once again, for you younger ladies, it also gives you a chance to see women who are thriving and know that it just gets better. Even if it wasn't perfect, you can begin to make better choices. Our desire for you, those of you that are younger than us, is to get it right while you're younger so you can avoid some of the hassles and headaches that some older women are experiencing as they begin to correct their life situations or revise. I don't use the word correct, revise their life situations. So as I was adding this information to Luxuria, because what I did was I said again, I have so much information that I have not made public. Some of it might make it to the public, some of it may never make it to the public. But this time around, I was adding to her. It is a book that might eventually become a course. I'm not really sure yet because I haven't read through it. I haven't read this thing in about a year. But anyway, it's called The Advantage of Maturing, a courtesan and wife's guide for women over 40. And here's a fun thing. Over 40 in the energy of a courtesan, ooh, that is such a sweet spot. Because if you know anything about the most successful courtesans, the women in that energy, they were generally over 40, 40 plus. There were those that were younger, they were having a good time. And most of them, truthfully, if you study courtesan history, most of them did burn out in their 20s because they were not cultivating their client base for longevity. They were just playing. They were living off of their youth and their beauty. The issue with living off of just your youth and beauty is there's always someone younger coming behind you. We're all maturing, right? So if you're just basing your attraction and your value off of the fact that you're young and pretty, or maybe fun, whatever, and you're not cultivating more, then that's kind of a short span of popularity in the space of a courtesan. The courtesans and the women who had the courtesan energy, that muse energy, who were most successful, they really start hitting their stride when they hit their 40s. Because at this point in time, they've been cultivating and curating self. They have established and have a deeper wisdom about the men around them because they've had all these years of experience with these men. Some of them would take breaks. Some of them would be like, doing a courtesan thing and blah, blah, blah out there in the world. And then they go, you know what, I'm peacing out. And they would disappear for several years. Go off some different country, go maybe run off and get married, whatever. They would just go off and live life. Because remember, the ones who did this well were wealthy women. The ones who did the courtesanship properly, they wound up being wealthy women because their client base, the men in their world, were successful, highly successful, wealthy men. And the smart women were learning business and gathering wonderful properties and gifts and etc. and resources and riches from the men who were courting them. So they could take off for a few years and go off and do something else if they did the right investments and were once again utilizing this time in their lives properly. And eventually they would come back and the men are kind of going, oh, where have you been? because they really liked her, or some of them were deeply in love with her. Because remember, longevity means there's something about you which is very fascinating and interesting. You have a whole personality. You have desires and things you're working on and things you're building. And many of these women that were popular courtesans were authors, scientists, philosophers, actresses. I mean, they were talented women. Being the courtesan wasn't just what they did, they had a whole life in addition to the men that were part of their world. So the ones that would come back, they would come back in their 40s. And the men would just be like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over there. Where have you been? We've missed you because of the impact that her presence had in their life. So when I was putting this information into Luxuria today, and it is 26, what is it, 26 pillars? Where is the information? I just had it. Oh, here it is. 26 different pillars. Oh my gosh, I've got so much paper. But I know none of you know what I'm talking about, right? Paper everywhere. Mm, I know I'm not the only one. Anyway, yeah, the 26 pillars. So, what is it? 26 pillars of mature magnetic power and affluent romance. Pillar one is the advantage of mature archetypal maturity. Why wealthy men prefer women who can actually shift energies with intention, meaning she is very aware of who she has been, and who she is still being at a higher, more advanced level, so to speak. How a 40-plus-year-old woman naturally embodies the wife, mistress, and Muse archetype. This is actually a spin-off of something else that I did. And here, remember, you can still be courtesan energy and be a wife. Because there are plenty of courtesans actually were wives, just so you know. The pillar number two is the, high caliber woman's presence after 40. Mature elegance versus youthful beauty, which I just spoke about earlier. Refinement as a feminine signature, energetic frequency. The pillar number three, I'm not going to go through all of them, is emotional maturity as magnetic power. And I know for a fact how valuable this is because this is one of the things, like I said, the men around me thoroughly enjoy. And the confidence that comes when you are older is untouchable. And yes, I do realize some women have to grow into the confidence because of all the nonsense they may have dealt with and put up with when they were younger. But when you finally decide to claim your power, some of you will claim it in your 20s because you just have that energy, that zest about you. Some will figure it out in your 30s. Unfortunately, most men are not figuring it out until they're in their 40s because of the pressures of society and some of the religious doctrine they've been underneath. But once they wake up, ooh, sweetness all over. But yeah, the value of calm emotional responses, and that becomes something that's very obvious too. We become less reactionary, especially when you take the time out to stop and think. Because I know perimenopause pause is going on for some, and there's a lot going on. Emotions, hormones, reality, just quite a bit. But there's also a level of serenity that begins to show up. Because when a woman begins to finally speak her truth, finally has to take time out to slow down, it's no longer optional. You must do it. Details begin to change and they begin to find their voice. So I'm asking the question, where are my 40 plus, 40 plus courtesans? Where are you? But what else? Oh, pillar number nine, sensual identity and body confidence. Yes. Reclaiming your feminine body, sensuality identity shaped through maturity. The new erotic power of women, of the mature woman. Yes. There's some really cool stuff here. I said before, have not read this in like a year. So I'm kind of like rewilding myself as I'm reading this to you. What is it? Oh, pillar number 11, the 40 plus woman's dating advantage. And some of you are thinking, what in the world could be a dating advantage at 40 plus? Quite a bit, actually. The majority of my Marriage proposals came after 40. I had a handful when I was younger, but most of them were coming after 40. And the men that were proposing definitely had access to younger women, most definitely. But I've shared with you before, most couples, if you look at the couples, affluent, rich, and wealthy, the age gap, there's not much of an age gap. At most, it might be 10 years, but usually it's like 5 years. Those really big age gaps that you see that they try to convince you are reality, like for everyone on social media, no, not really. There's still, if you just, I said again, always look around the real world. Don't just look at social media. Look at the real world. Most of the women that these men are with or attracted to are usually within their age range. And the reason is because the commonalities. We can have conversations with each other and understand what we're talking about because we have similar backgrounds or we came up in a generation that was either the same or maybe the generation right after or the generation right before, the 10-year gap, right? So there are many advantages to being older and dating. Hmm. What else? Feminine influence lived through lived wisdom, influence without effort. Yeah, pretty much. There's a ton. I think I'm not gonna go through all 26, but there's literally 26 pillars that she'll be pulling from when the goddess daughters go into Luxuria and ask questions. Because I'm actually going to send them some questions to ask her to help prompt her to go into this particular part of her wisdom. I really do enjoy what I'm doing, just so you know. I say it often because it's the truth. Here's the reason why. One, it really is watching the women that are part of my world thrive. We had, what was it? Because as you know, also have the temple patronage also happening as we speak. And we had our second gathering this past Sunday because we do the first Wednesday in the evening of the month and then the third Sunday in the afternoon of the month. And we had a gathering this past Sunday. They're so beautiful. For those of you that are part of the temple that have access to the live gatherings, you know because you see each other. Their skin. These women have flawless skin. I don't know what they're doing, but they glow. I mean, their skin is beautiful. Their smiles, and just love watching them. Share information, hear their information, answer their questions. But just watching them grow, because I'll say this once more, so many of my goddess daughters have been with me for years, which I love this. I love this because I get to watch them grow and develop through the temple, through the guidance, through the information, once again, that's being offered, courtesy of myself and my life experiences, but also with each other. So for those of access, once again, to Luxuria, oh, if you're listening, 'cause I know some of you will be listening. I just uploaded like two additional two additional guides, two additional PDFs. They're extensive. I think one was like almost 300 pages of information, and this one is 111, I think it is, of information. So it's substantial information. I'm sharing the page numbers because it's substantial information, and it's in reference to who you are, relationships, communication. Once again, for those of you that are, 40 plus, that layer has now been fortified. So yeah, I'm very happy. I really am. So anyway, what about you? How are you moving through your life? How are you showing up in your world? When I think about the different ways that I'm able to offer information here at the temple, as I mentioned, we have the temple patronage. That's the entry. That's, like I said, that brings you into the first the first courtyard, basically, of the temple. Lessons, and I've said before, if you click the link, you can go over there and you can listen to the audios, which will discuss the the different paths, and you have a chance to actually preview. There's actually, a preview. I think it's one of the invocations for the opulent woman, and some things that go along with the invocation. And I know with the path of the muse, you have a chance to preview and actually experience the first law, the law of what is it? Emanation, how to literally be in the energy of. Those are available for you to actually experience, to give you a taste of how those particular paths are working for you. And then I teach during the actual live gatherings as well as answer questions. And their questions are getting so good. That's another benefit of Luxuria. When they ask questions, because they have a chance to brainstorm, work through details with Luxuria before they come to me live, the questions are becoming more concise. And the Goddess Daughters know this. I've been asking for this for a while. The more clear they can be about what they're asking me, the better answers I can provide. Because if you just give me a big general picture question, I could go 50,000 different directions with the question. What exactly are you asking me? And I use what I usually offer back to them when I get a general question that is broad. What exactly are you asking? Share with me a scenario or a situation that would showcase this particular, question you're asking me. Because I can work through a scenario when the goddess starts asks a question about something on Sunday, because she's realizing the men that she attracts, that there's a particular type she keeps attracting, and she's like, I have no desire to attract this particular type of man anymore, like for romance. I go, well, in that case, don't claim them for romance. Use them to benefit business, because she has her own business. I go, well, in that case, find out how they can assist you in reference to your professional life. I go, remember, darling, we need not keep them all as romantic partners. We need not keep any of them as romantic partners. But they still can show up and be of service. You just need to understand how to articulate what you need, what you desire, and then allow them to step up and provide your request. And sure, and she was like, oh, oh. She was like, I like the rephrase. But I'm like, there you go. But that's just it. Sometimes you just don't know. We get so caught up in what we think something has to be. And it always surprises me. Women tend to be so darn black and white. It's either this or that. I'm like, how in the world are you guys getting just it's this or it's that? That has always baffled me about women. We are like the multitaskers and multitaskers, but when it comes to certain things, especially when it comes to romance and relationships and what, it's black. There's no, no, darling. There's a ton of gray, yellow, purple, pink, and rainbow colors in between, right? That's what you have me here for. So anyway, and then of course the oracles keep. I'm having fun. They're like I said, they just began a brand new assignment in Luxuria. I'm laughing because you never see exactly who is inside of the different the customs, but I can see approximately how many chats have occurred. And I was laughing because it jumped significantly now that they're working on a new assignment. And it's good because once again, the information in there is helping them to build the awareness, the self-confidence, the ability to speak and articulate their preferences in reference to lifestyle and the men. We always work on self first. It's always self first. And then the men are part of the process. And the confidence you gain when you learn how to be present with men. Because remember, most women haven't spent time with truly rich and wealthy men. They are different. The affluent ones, which are up and coming, they're different. But there's still things that you still might be relatable because they're just starting the process. But when you meet a man who's in the process and then one who is thriving and beyond, their mindset is different, their conversation is different, how they view the world is different. And learning how to speak their language, so to speak, it makes your life so much easier. And it also benefits you because your elevation automatically becomes part of the process. So go ahead and check out the links. Like I said, Luxuria, the link right now is only available in this particular because I took it out. I took it down, the rest of the audios I have posted here, but she's available here. Check her out. Think of it this way. We make investments in so many things, especially women out there attempting to, move in the world of affluent, rich, and wealthy. Everything is so caught up on how to look, what to wear. I've seen so many videos and, rich women dress like this, rich women don't do this. Here's elegant behavior, 10 steps to blah, blah, blah. Okay. Some of the information, like I said, it's very helpful, but it's still not about how to be. It's about the exterior. It's about the presentation, so to speak. This information puts you inside of the world. This information gives you the confidence on how to speak, how to move, where to go, why you're selecting what you're selecting, who are the types of personalities you're going to meet in reference to these various men. You can plug it in based upon age ranges, industries, lifestyle, and then receive feedback about what it actually takes place in these particular places, not theory. What is are they doing? Where are they going? What is the psychology? Because the psychology of men is so important to understand and know based upon what men think and do instead of what women think they should be doing. That's where women get in trouble. What he should know. What is he doing? Not what you think he should do, not the potential of him changing. Who is he? What is he doing? I've said before, I'm never concerned about potential. I'm past an age. I'm 40 plus, honey. I'm not looking at a man's potential. You need to be there. Okay? And be there thriving. I mean, really thriving. And I'm not listening for things I think I want. I hope he's going to say. No, I'm listening. I am hearing what's coming out of his mouth. And in addition to that, I'm catching the actions and the body language and all the energy that's also wrapped around the words. See, this is a process. Just like anything you had to learn, you had to go to school. Remember, you had to go to school to learn your skill sets for your job, right? Some of you had to go to college. Some of you had to go to college again, depending on what you were doing. You got the bachelor's. And then if you decide you want to do a career change and you decide to get the master's, and then you get the master, you get the PhD. I was laughing because I know one of my dearest friends. This is a gentleman. He went to for his profession because what he does, he has a construction company. He's a oh my God, the stuff he builds is insane. But with him, he has what, two, three bachelors, two masters. He didn't do his PhD yet. And truth, he doesn't need to because the stuff that he builds right now, he does not need to go to college for not another flipping thing. He doesn't because the level of wow of who he is in his industry is insane. But then I think about women because remember I used to work for university. That was my last corporate job. I used to work for university in admissions. And individuals have gone to college, two, three bachelors, a couple of master's degrees, a PhD on top of it. And I wish I could say that it was highly, highly beneficial. If you're doing it because, it's going you're tweaking your professional skills to potentially do something on your own, or you have the chance to, sit at a high level, let's say C-suite position, I would say go for it. but most people are not going to get these degrees, and this comes from actual conversations with people. This is no theory. These are from conversations, real conversations with people enrolling in college. I used to work for a college in admissions, okay? Most of them were just trying to get a bit of a pay bump. I'm like, because I'll say it again, most people don't realize that you only add about an additional $10,000 a year, depending on your profession, your field. Some on average, they're only adding like an additional $10,000 a year to their salary. And they were going in literally into debt, 50, 60,000 plus for the degree. And I'm like, and I'd ask the question, because this is just me being me. Because I'm never going to talk somebody out of what they're doing, but I am going to ask questions for deeper wisdom and knowledge on my side, so I'm sure that I'm assisting them properly. And my question would sometimes be, so you're going to make this additional, because I had the numbers, I had the research. Remember, I'm sitting here with facts and research. I go, so you do this, and you make this additional $10,000 a year, but by the time they get done taxing you and the expenses that come out of it, you may come out of it with 3,000, 4,000 extra dollars a year. Is this really worth getting this additional degree? And some of you are thinking, damn, Miss Sophia, Domina Sophia, why? Because I want to make sure that they understood and had clarity around what they were doing. And they were doing it for more than just the money that they were hoping to make from the job. Because the last thing I want them to do is regret going back to school. That's a chunk of 50, 60 plus $1,000. And that was, that may have so by the time, and that was just a year. That was a year. So if they're going to go 2 years or more to finish out whatever, they may be spending over $100,000. So there's no way am I spending someone's money for them, because that's their money and that's their responsibility and choice. But that's just how I think. And I also want to make sure that they're going to be selecting the right degree program for what their goals were. So yes, I am very thorough when I ask questions. No judgments, just being very thorough on the question side of it. So if you make those kind of investments for your degree, for your job, why would you be reluctant to make investments to assist you on finding pleasure, success, prosperity, growth, happiness, joy, and whatever in your personal life? Especially if you're choosing romance and to be present with men in a way which is productive for you. I'll say this once more. This doesn't happen. This success like that's not happening by, chance, hope, and wishes. It's a system. It's a process. The more you know, the easier it becomes to identify what you're doing in your whys. But anyway, take a look. As I mentioned, the temple patronage, we meet twice a month. You are working through their stuff, coursework, there's stuff that you're actually working on and doing in both the Affluent Woman as well as the Muse path, either path. Luxuria is there. I'm about to change out her description. It's not going to get done today. Well, by the time you guys hear no, it won't be done. By the time you hear the audio, it won't be done. I'm going to do it later on, the day that you're listening to audio. And as for Oracle's Keep, I haven't really had a lot of discussions about her because I'm still pretty much going through internal. I'm sharing conversations about her with the Goddess Daughters alumni before I really bring it back out to the public. But anyway, you know what? Take a look. I'm gonna go. You guys have an awesome day. Talk to you later. Bye bye.